can I actually make a profit from this? What is the overall impact on the fashion industry as a whole? Fleek is the only place doing that at the moment.
They can unlock quantities that haven't really previously been possible.
Hi, I'm Jasmine from the marketing team at Fleek. If you didn't know already, Fleek is a vintage wholesale marketplace where you can access vintage stock from around the world in bulk to resell for a profit.
Hi guys, I'm Eleanor. I'm head of upcycling here at Fleek. I work with a really core base of upcycled suppliers, and I'm here today to talk about how upcycled clothes are made and to break that down for you, as well as talk about what makes them different from standard vintage stock and how you can really make a profit with this new category.
Okay, so to begin with, what actually is upcycled and what does that mean in the context of Fleek? Because it can be a bit of a buzzword in the sustainable fashion industry.
It absolutely can, and that's a very good question. So here at Fleek, anything that has the label upcycled or that is in our upcycled collection is made from basically used and reclaimed fabric from garments and from potentially vintage homewares as well. So for example, the jacket I made is actually remade from a pair of Carhartt pants which were damaged. Right behind us over here, we've got a little jacket which is made from vintage quilts, like patchwork quilts. We quite often get those in the rag. And basically upcycling is a way for our suppliers to unlock and reuse stock that they otherwise couldn't sell. So we're always trying to use something that is damaged and give it a new lease of life rather than taking things which could be sold as is.
That's so interesting. And how many upcycled pieces would you say are made a week and how are they made at such scale?
I mean, here at Fleek, we have numerous suppliers making upcycled pieces every week, and we tend to be making thousands at a time. You know, every week, each supplier will probably be working on thousands of pieces.
That's so cool.
It's really quite amazing doing it at this scale because upcycling is typically quite a difficult area of manufacturing to get into. That's because it's not quite the same as normal manufacture. So where you think about making a new pair of jeans, often factories will lay down like thousands of layers of the same denim at the time and cut 1,000 pieces at once. And it's all about an economy of scale. Upcycling, you kind of really have to do that craftsmanship per piece where each piece has to be made sort of at once because you're cutting it from original garments. So no two original pairs of Carhartt pants you might be cutting up will be the same. You have to work on them one piece at a time. But because we have suppliers who are so skilled at this and have really honed into this, they actually can make it at scale. And because they have access to this huge amount of raw material, they can unlock quantities that haven't really previously been possible. I should give you a bit of context, actually. Most of our suppliers are primarily vintage suppliers. So these guys have rag houses, they have access to huge amounts of vintage stock. And with that comes access to huge amounts of damaged vintage stock. So you can imagine there's not really much of a market for grade C vintage most of the time. That's where suppliers have become really ingenious at reusing this and upcycling it.
And for someone that doesn't know already, what is grade C?
So grade C would be something with visible damages to it. So it might be rips, it might be holes, it might be stains, it might even be the wrong size or just a really undesirable style. But that's where we can take these pieces that we can't sell and give them a new lease of life by turning them into something new. For example, these jackets have actually been remade from the waistbands from discarded jeans. So each panel of stripes on here are from a waistband from jeans which have been restitched together to form a jacket. You can see original details like the jean pockets on here. So you can really see that the kind of story of this garment. And again, although if you ordered 100 pieces, they would all be very, very similar. No two pieces are going to be exactly the same. And I think that's where upcycling offers a really amazing kind of bridge between new manufacture and vintage clothing. You can control the fit of the jacket. You can even specify the color matches you want, but you still get that uniqueness that you get with vintage clothing. This is something completely different, which is a little women's cami top, which is actually made from vintage tablecloths. But again, it rescues something which is a really beautiful quality piece of fabric that you just wouldn't get in fast fashion these days. And it's given it a new lease of life so that it can go on and be worn for generations.
There's obviously tons of greenwashing in the fashion industry every day. But what makes this different and what is the overall impact on the fashion industry as a whole?
I think one of the biggest impacts from, for instance, new manufacture is the manufacturing of fabric. So for example, new pairs of jeans, they will use thousands of litres of water to make the denim, to make the jeans. And that's a really carbon heavy garment to be purchasing. Whereas we've got tons of discarded denim in the rag already. So you are cutting out, by upcycling something, you're cutting out that part of making new fabric and using something which already exists. Something which I love about upcycling is quite often we'll have even better quality fabrics in the rag than are being produced new now. So for example, you think of Levi Wrangler grade denim jeans. Vintage denim is really, really good quality and will last for another 40 years at least. And So if you upcycle that into something new, you have a much better quality garment than you would if you bought something new from a fast fashion brand.
This is all obviously so interesting, and Upcycled is doing so much for the environment. But as a reseller, why would I buy upcycled stock over typical vintage stock? Can I actually make a profit from this?
I think the short answer is like, yes, absolutely. We are here to offer pieces that can be flipped for a profit. One of the best things with upcycling is that we have control over the designs. So I actually have a design and development background myself, but I also work with a large team of suppliers who have design teams who are making things that are based on the latest trends. So where it can sometimes be hard to find something in the vintage grade, if you can't find it, we can make it in upcycled. You know,
so
if you're after a particular Y2K racer jacket, like we can remake that from upcycled denim. If you're after like Carhartt jackets and can't find enough in vintage, that's where like remaking them can really come into their own. Or like you want control over the specific shape or style. For example, like we get a lot of people who want, you know, cropped Carhartt jackets. Like that might be quite hard to find in vintage, but we can actually remake that. And you even have control over the fit. Like if you have a fit that, you know, basically if you buy a baggy jean in upcycling, you know, if you buy 100, they're all going to be a standardized fit. You can even request from sellers, like, I only want this particular size range. Again, because we have control over resizing it, that makes it possible through shopping upcycled. So another thing that a lot of folks don't know is that we actually do custom design service. So we supply a lot of retailers, resellers who have their own designs, even brands who come to us and get us to make upcycle pieces for their brands. So we can match you to the right suppliers to make sure that you can develop your own pieces. You can even do things like customize existing designs. So because everything in upcycled is made to order for you, you have that control over the design point of view, which I think is really cool.
I think it's so cool, and I feel like Fleek is the only place doing that at the moment. You don't have to be a designer to create designs that you love in bulk to resell, and it's helping the environment.
It's so true. And I think a lot of people don't even realize, like, if you were a young fashion brand making stuff new, you would be really struggling to get minimum orders from even factories like overseas or even in the UK. Like, people will often have really high minimum order quantities. Whereas at Fleek, most of our suppliers will make, you know, like 20 units of something if you want to test it. It's really a very easy way to get into designing your own stock. And it's very risk-free as well. So I really I hope more people will try it out, because I think it's a very exciting new area of the industry. Examples of pieces which work really well, like these are little corsets made from damaged Ralph Lauren shirts. We've taken it and given it a new lease of life, made it into something new, which is really on trend, really hard to find in the vintage grade, and still carries that cool vintage brand. And I think the great thing is if you order 100 of these, they will still have that vintage uniqueness to them.
I think it's interesting as well, because one of the reasons why people buy vintage stock is because it's unique. Like, you can't go and buy it off the rack. The fact that every upcycle piece is so unique and has a story behind it is like part of the appeal, and people are going to be willing to spend money on that.
Absolutely. As I said, I like to think of it as a bridge between kind of vintage and new fashion, because you still have that uniqueness, but you have all of the positive sides of new fashion, like, you know, size ranges, making sure that things fit in a modern way, the ability to restock. And I think that is another really important thing for retailers and resellers is, if you find something that works for you, you can go back every month and you can order the same thing again, rather than having to go on handpicks and source in really time-consuming ways.
So this is so interesting, and obviously we know there's so much value in upcycled pieces, but I think some resellers might struggle with knowing where to look. I think it can be a bit of a minefield. If you go into the Fleek app and you type in upcycled, how would you know where to look to find the best stock?
So I know that can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, but we do have an upcycle collection on the Fleek app, which pretty much all of the items in there are from a really trusted base of upcycled suppliers. That includes folks like Creed Vintage, Retro Vintage Global, Retro Aesthetic, Diamond. The list is bigger than that, and we have many, many great suppliers. I'd be very happy to send you a list of my personal recommendations. Also, like, if anyone is interested in starting their own custom designs or custom collections, you can always message suppliers on the app directly. If anyone wants to drop either a message on that or below this vid, I'm very happy to get in touch.
How would you go about pricing these items without over and underpricing them when you're reselling them?
So, I mean, general rule of thumb, I think anything with branding tends to go for a bit more. And I think with the upcycling range on Fleek, we have a huge price range of stuff that we do. You know, anything from things for a quick flip for things which are really more premium. I find some of our slightly more premium resellers who resell upcycling stuff really love to tell the story about what it's made from. So their whole curation will be around telling a story of, like, this piece is made from a vintage quilt. And that really helps with, I think, educating the customer about like why they should be buying it.
One thing that you spoke about was how Upcycled unlocks trending items that you can resell that you might not otherwise find in vintage. So I thought we could play a game, trend hit or miss.
I'm up for it, yes.
So this is current micro trends, and you need to tell me if you think they're a hit or a miss, and if you think they will stand the test of time.
Love it. I'm up for it, yeah.
Funnel necks.
I think hit.
I think hit as well.
Yeah,
I
I'm really into a funnel.
Yeah, I like a funnel. I think that's a bit timeless, actually.
Actually, I agree.
Back.
No, I think so. I think funnel. I'm here for it, and I think you can buy it now and you'll be able to wear it in 7 years' time.
Nylon tracksuits.
I mean, personally, I'm feeling a bit miss. I'm not sure about this. The word nylon is giving me a bit of an ick. I want it to be from nicer fabric. But having said that, I do love a tracksuit, and I think it is brilliant at the moment. So maybe hit just for now.
Hit for now, but it won't last.
It's going to be a miss at some point.
What about crazy animal prints? I mean, like zebra, deer print, I've seen trending.
Okay. Well, I'm very much one for leopard is a neutral. So I'm here to say hit. I love a bit of crazy animal print, especially in an accessory. I feel like a bit of, deer print bag or something that's really good fun.
Fur bags?
Fur bags. Oh, I'm going to say hit at the moment, but it's not going to last.
Okay.
I think that's my thing, yeah.
Yeah, and last one, lace trim tops, like cami tops.
Or I think it's a big hit. I think, we can't get enough of that right now on Fleek. Again, if you get a really beautiful lace vintage cami, I think that's really timeless.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you, Eleanor. That was so insightful. I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope everyone else has as well. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you want to speak about in terms of Upcycled?
Oh, thank you, Jasmine. I mean, firstly, it's been a pleasure. And secondly, I'd really love to encourage anyone who wants to start their upcycling journey to get in touch. I know it can sometimes be a bit daunting to get started, but like the upcycling team here at Fleek is here to help. So you can drop us a message on the app. You can even drop a comment below this video and we'll get connected and help you make your first steps in upcycling. I think it's an area that I'm really excited about in the fashion industry, as it's so new, and genuinely I think it is the future of fashion.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
Please get in touch and we'll make it happen. Bye guys.